morning. Welcome once again to the English class. Today, my friends, we're going to start working on unit number 4 in your spotlight on literature books. The story is about a family, well, actually two families who have to make a very important decision, a decision that really mark their lives forever. And just to start, we're going to be talking a little bit about family traits. And I'm going to show you the things that I want you to share in class. The first one is if you come from a small or big family. So anybody wants to share the answer for that question? Anybody, anyone? Cecia, Eunice? Cecia. Hello. Okay, tell me, Ceci, do you come from a small or a big family? A big one. How many live in your family? I mean, how many people live with you? How many are you, Ceci? Who do you live with? Let me see, 6. Yeah, that's a big family. Okay, let me see, Leonardo Josué Lazo. You there, Josué? Do you come from a big or small family, my friend? A big one. Who do you live with? With 7 people. Wow. So I figured it out. I figured it out that when you mention 7 or 6 members, you are including your extended family, because we have 2 types of families, your nuclear family and also your extended family. Your extended family includes your cousins, your nephews, your nieces, your grandparents. It also includes in-laws, the stepfather, the adopted, so all of those family members that are related by blood or by other means possible. Okay, the other question that I want you to respond is this. How would you feel if one day you realize you are an adopted child? Would it be shocking, depressing, sad, or how would you feel if your parents confess that you are an adopted child, an adopted daughter, or adopted son? Maria Fernanda?
Hi, teacher.
Hello,
In
Martha.
my opinion, I think I feel bad because I live with, if, for example, if my parents don't, my parents, I adopted, but my parents treated me good, it's fine. But I feel I will be sad because uh, I think, ¿cómo decirlo? I'm gonna ask me why my real parents let me.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, because, well, but it depends on the situations, right? Because if they put you out in adoption, it's because they had no choice, right? Maybe the situation was very difficult economically speaking, but just because they didn't love you or they didn't want to, that would be hurting, you see. But if the conditions for you would be better if they put you up in adoption, that would be more understandable. Very hard to swallow, very hard to accept, but deep inside you will know that it was for your own good. And I do agree with your point of view, my dear Fer. Let me see. And the last question before we proceed. That's a different question. How would you react if your parents, wait, there's a mistake here. If your parents had refused to put you up in adoption to a wealthy family? Let's say that Cristiano Ronaldo's family approached your family a long time ago and they wanted to get you in adoption and they refused because they told them that they don't sell kids. How would you feel? Say, Isama Kwan.
Hello.
Hello.
Hmm.
Hmm.
How would you react if your parents had refused to put you up in adoption to a wealthy family?
Yes.
I feel mm, a lot of emotions. Happy because, oh, they love me, but the sense of losing the opportunity, a big
Uh,
opportunity. I don't know. Maybe I will think about how wealthy is the family. Like the creeds here in El Salvador or something like that, Siman, I don't know,
uh-huh.
or in another place.
Ah.
Maybe I will say that mm, you I will say to my parents, you should put me in adoption. Yeah.
Definitely, Sofia Nicole Siman.
Sofía Nicole Siman, yes.
Siman Kwan. Wow. Sounds
Yes.
really cool.
But oh, probably they will never tell me. No, they will never tell me about the adoption because they will know that I will get angry.
Yeah, probably they will keep it a secret. But remember that one day the truth comes to the air. And anyway, like the case in the story that we are about to read. The story is called The Adopted Son. It's written by Guy de Maupassant. It's a French author. I don't know if you are familiar with this author. He got some interesting words, and some of them are read in schools, or at least I remember that when I was a high school student, I had to read one of his short stories. And the last question goes for, well, the same question goes for Jorge, Jorge Antonio Lopez. Rodrigo.
Hi.
Hello, Rodrigo. How would you feel, my friend, if you realize for any means that your parents refused to put you in adoption to the Cristiano Ronaldo's family, let's say?
Like first, I'm not like great fan of Cristiano Ronaldo, but anyways, it's Cristiano Ronaldo, like
Mhm.
he's super famous, and if they refuse, like there's no more to do, like that's
Cry,
nothing to do.
cry. That's the only thing you can do. Have you
Yeah,
seen those memes? I saw some of memes on Facebook of Cristiano Ronaldo's son. So the gift that he received for his 11th or 15th birthday, I don't remember exactly his age, that he got a car, but it was not
yeah,
just a car. Did you see those memes? No,
yeah, yeah. I saw it.
it really sucked, right? So you
Yeah,
just stop for a moment to think of your last birthday gift and you compare to this guy's birthday gift, and you can't believe it. You just can't believe it.
yeah,
Anyway, okay, yeah, I accept your resignation. I mean, you will feel like, well, they didn't do it. Anyway, I have to live in El Salvador and I love my family, and you have to accept your family. And I'm sure that your families and your parents really love you guys. They do. Okay, so let's just stop dreaming and pretending to be somebody else that we're not. And let's read something about the author. We're gonna see a little insight. We're gonna read some of important events in Guy de Maupassant's life. Just give me one sec. I'm looking for the presentation that is here. There's a couple of words to reflect on. They are taken from the Bible, the book of Hebrews, in chapter 11, verse number 6. It is always good to remember some values here. Well, this is what you're studying for, to become better citizens, better people in society. That's basically the purpose of being here. Lucy, 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 Sanabria, help me please with the quote.
Oh, um, God, God always rewards generosity when we give with the right heart. We rewards us in every area of our lives.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And let me see. Katie Panameng. Katie, can you say something about this? That God rewards generous people when they give with the right intentions. Do you believe in that? Or what do you believe in?
I think that that is true. I mean, I know that there are like some people that have like, like bad intentions, and there's people that is, I mean, I think we can consider them like bad people.
Mhm.
And I know some stories about bad people that made bad things to other ones, and then they had like um for example, I don't know, just to say an example, like they had an accident, for
Mhm.
example, or they lost something important for them,
Mhm.
or something bad happened to them. And I
Mhm.
feel like in some way it has to be with God, and I don't know, like some kind of life lection or something like that.
Mhm.
So I think that yes, I think that that is true.
Yes, it is. So there's also, thank you very much, Katie. There's a saying in English, and I don't remember exactly the equivalent in Spanish, but in Spanish we have a lot of sayings. But one in English says, what goes around comes around. What it really means is that everything, good or bad, that you do in life, it comes back to you. So it's like life is like a boomerang. Whatever you throw, it comes back. Sometimes worse, sometimes not that worse. Sometimes God is so merciful with us and he doesn't retribute exactly with the same measure that we have done it before. But I totally agree with you, Katie, that we reap what we sow, and that's for sure. Act bad and you will receive something bad as a retribution. It has to do with God, and people who do not believe in God, they call it karma. Yeah, they call it like that, but karma, God, all of this is connected. Remember that he is the owner of everything. We just try to explain God and we can't, but we know somehow that he is everywhere in everything we do. And the last question goes for Carlita Yesenia. Carlita, are you with us? Jesse? Okay, so then let's move to the next slide. So there we go. The adopted son. I think that I have made a mistake with the number of pages. Definitely the story The Adopted Son is not on those pages, 72, 73. I think it's 90 or 80 something. So you have to turn your page to unit number 4. So look for unit number 4 and you will find it. But this is something that I always do before we start our reading passage. In this case, a short story is reading something about the author's life. And for that purpose, my dear Paola is gonna help me out reading the first slide.
Hello.
Hello, Aquino.
Okay. Um, Guy de Maupassant, born August 5th, 1850, France. Died July 6, 1893, in Paris. French naturalist, writer of short stories and novels, who is by general agreement the greatest French short story writer.
Thank you so much. So we will come across with a lot of difficult names to pronounce since we're not too familiar with French language. Well, I have heard that some of you have studied French in some academies. I remember someone from this class was studying Japanese, or I don't remember who exactly, but even for me, because I speak no French, I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly. I think it's Guy or G, Guy. It's Guy de Maupassant. Okay, he was born in this year, almost 200 years ago. He was considered one of the greatest French short story writers. So he specialized in short stories. He wrote a couple of novels, 6 novels, if I'm not mistaken, but thousands of articles and short stories. And the one that we're gonna read is a short story for sure. In his childhood, there are a little information here to remark. Sofia, Nicole, please, Simán, Juan.
Hi.
Hello. Help me please reading this paragraph.
The paragraph in the book or in the screen?
The one on the screen.
Okay. Mausepant was the elder of the two children of Gustave and Laure de Mausepant. His mother claimed that he was born at the Chateau de Miram. I know, teacher. Has been disposed. The couple's second son was born in 1856.
Okay, thank you so
French
much.
is difficult.
Yeah, French is difficult. It's very difficult. Pronunciation is hard. In grammar, you have no idea how difficult it is. So he was the son of Gustave and Laure. He has been claimed to be born in Chateau de Miromesnil. But this is not something that is considered a fact, because there's there's no consensus that he actually was born in that place, but we don't really care much about that. And then this is very important. Here I made a mistake with the color of the font. It's green and the background is green, so it can be red. So we're gonna skip that. This part of his life, it really marked an important period of his entire life, and also influenced him a lot to become a writer. Many of his stories had been influenced of his experiences in this particular period of his life. Let me see who speaks French in here. Silvano. Silvano, are you there? Are you actually here? Hello, may you unmute your microphone, Silvano? No, you can't. Can you? In the chat, you may write if you're able to unmute your microphone. Jesus. So then Katie, please help me reading this.
Okay. He moved to the lycée at
Forget it, that's my bad.
okay, and passed his bachelor degree the following year in the Atrium of 1080 or 1869. He began law studies in Paris, which were interrupted by the outbreak of the Franco-German War. Maupassant volunteered, served first as a private in the field, and was later transferred through his father's intervention to the quartermaster corps. His first-hand experience of war was to provide him with the material for some of his finest stories.
Thank you so much. So he was a law student. He started in Paris and he got a stop. There was an interruption there. So you said this is fate. He was going to become a lawyer, but then something important happened, the Franco-German War. And then Maupassant volunteered. He was a private in the field. A private is a rank in the army. I think it's the lowest rank in the army. A private is just a soldier, yeah, like the ones that we have in the streets nowadays with the police. And later he was transferred because of his father's influence. He pulled some strings and he was transferred to a better and safe area, the Quartermaster Corps. But important to remark here is that his experiences during the war provide yeah, provide them a lot of material, a lot of ideas for his finest stories. And so we stop talking about Guy, I think it's Guy de Maupassant biography. Now we're gonna read the story in your books. Just give me 1 sec. Here we go. When I want to share OBS camera, the audio can be heard. So that's why I just share it up like this. Let me know if you can hear, please.
The Adopted Son by Guy.
Can you? Could you listen?
Teacher.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, thank you. So as you listen, try to read your book, please.
The Adopted Son by Guy de Maupassant. The two cottages stood beside each other at the foot of a hill. The two peasants labored hard on the unproductive soil to rear their little ones, and each family had 4. Before the adjoining doors, a whole troop of urchins played and tumbled about from morning till night. The 2 eldest were 6 years old, and the youngest were about 15 months. The marriages and afterward the births having taken place nearly simultaneously in both families. The 2 mothers could hardly distinguish their own children among the lot, and as for the fathers, they were altogether at sea. The 8 names danced in their heads. They were always getting them mixed up, and when they wished to call one child, the men often called 3 names before getting the right one. The first of the 2 cottages, as you came up from the bathing beach, Rollport, was occupied by the Tuvaches, who had 3 girls and 1 boy. The other house sheltered the Valence, who had 1 girl and 3 boys. They all subsisted frugally on soup, potatoes, and fresh air. At 7 o'clock in the morning, then at noon, then at 6 o'clock in the evening, the housewives got their broods together to give them their food, as the gooseherds collect their charges. The children were seated, according to age, before the wooden table, varnished by 50 years of use, the mouths of the youngest hardly reaching the level of the table. Before them was placed a bowl filled with bread, soaked in the water in which the potatoes had been boiled, half a cabbage, and 3 onions. The whole line ate until their hunger was appeased. The mother herself fed the smallest. A small pot roast on Sunday was a feast for all, and the father on this day sat longer over the meal, repeating, "I wish we could have this every day." One August afternoon, a carriage stopped suddenly in front of the cottages, and a young woman, who was driving the horses, said to the gentleman sitting at her side, "Oh, look at all those children, Henri. How pretty they are, tumbling about in the dust like that." The man did not answer, accustomed to these outbursts of admiration, which were a pain and almost a reproach to him. The young woman continued, "I must hug them. Oh, how I should like to have one of them. That one there, the little tiny one." Springing down from the carriage, she ran toward the children, took one of the 2 youngest, a Tuvache child, and lifting him up in her arms, she kissed him passionately on his dirty cheeks, on his disorderly hair daubed with earth, and on his little hands, with which he fought vigorously to get away from the caresses which displeased him. Then she got into the carriage again and drove off at a lively trot. But she returned the following week, and seating herself on the ground, took the youngster in her arms, stuffed him with cakes, gave candies to all the others, and played with them like a young girl, while the husband waited patiently in the carriage. She returned again, made the acquaintance of the parents, and reappeared every day with her pockets full of dainties and pennies. Her name was Madame Henri Doubière. One morning, on arriving, her husband alighted with her, and without stopping to talk to the children, who now knew her well, she entered the farmer's cottage. They were busy chopping wood for the fire. They rose to their feet in surprise, brought forward chairs, and waited expectantly. Then the woman, in a broken, trembling voice, began, "My good people, I have come to see you because I should like to take your little boy with me." The country people, too bewildered to think, did not answer. She recovered her breath and continued, "We are alone, my husband and I. We would keep him. Are you willing?" The peasant woman began to understand. She asked, "You want to take Charlot from us?" "Oh, no, indeed." Then Monsieur Aubière intervened. "My wife has not made her meaning clear. We wish to adopt him, but he will come back to see you. If he turns out well, as there is every reason to expect, he will be our heir. If we, perchance, should have children, he will share equally with them. But if he should not reward our care, we should give him, when he comes of age, a sum of 20,000 francs, which shall be deposited immediately in his name with a lawyer. As we have thought also of you, we should pay you until your death a pension of 100 francs a month. Do you understand me?" The woman had arisen furious. "You want me to sell you Charlot? Oh, no, that's not the sort of thing to ask of a mother. Oh, no, that would be an abomination." The man, grave and deliberate, said nothing, but approved of what his wife said by a continued nodding of his head. Madame Aubière, in dismay, began to weep, turning to her husband with a voice full of tears, the voice of a child used to having all its wishes gratified. She stammered, "They will not do it, Henri. They will not do it." Then he made a last attempt. "But, my friends, think of the child's future, of his happiness, of—" The peasant woman, however, exasperated, cut him short. "It's all considered. It's all understood. Get out of here, and don't let me see you again. The idea of wanting to take away a child like that." Madame Aubière remembered that there were 2 children, quite little, and she asked through her tears, with the tenacity of a willful and spoiled woman, "But is the other little one not yours?" Father Tuvache answered, "No, he is our neighbor's. You can go to them if you wish." And he went back into his house, whence resounded the indignant voice of his wife. The Valens were at the table, slowly eating slices of bread that they parsimoniously spread with a little rancid butter on a plate between the two. Monsieur Doubière recommended his proposals, but with more insinuations, more oratorical precautions, and more shrewdness. The 2 country people shook their heads in sign of refusal, but when they learned that they were to have 100 francs a month, they considered the matter, consulting one another by glances, much disturbed. They kept silent for a long time, tortured, hesitating. At last the woman asked, "What do you say to it, man?" In a weighty tone he said, "I say that it's not to be despised." Madame Aubière, trembling with anguish, spoke of the future of their child, of his happiness, and of the money he could give them later. The peasant asked, "This pension of 1,200 francs, will it be promised before a lawyer?" Monsieur Doubière responded, "Why, certainly, beginning with tomorrow. The woman, who was thinking it over, continued, 100 francs a month is not enough to pay for depriving us of the child. That child would be working in a few years. We must have 120 francs. Tapping her foot with impatience, Madame Doubière granted it at once, and, as she wished to carry off the child with her, she gave 100 francs extra as a present, while her husband drew up a paper. And the young woman, radiant, carried off the howling brat as one carries away a wished-for knick-knack from a shop. The Tuvaches from their door watched her departure, silent, serious, perhaps regretting their refusal. Nothing more was heard of little Jean Valin. The parents went to the lawyer every month to collect their 120 francs. They had quarreled with their neighbors because Mother Tuvache grossly insulted them, continually repeating from door to door that one must be unnatural to sell one's child, that it was horrible, disgusting bribery. Sometimes she would take her Charlot in her arms, ostentatiously exclaiming as if he understood, "I didn't sell you, I didn't sell you, my little one. I'm not rich, but I don't sell my children." And from then on, year after year, it was like that every day. Indignant comments shouted in front of the door. Madame Tuvache had come to believe that she was above her neighbors because she had not given into selling Charlot. And those who spoke of her used to say, it was tempting, almost irresistible, but she carried herself like the best of mothers. By the time Charlot grew to be about 10 years old, he too already had an idea that he was superior to his peers because he had not been sold. The Valins lived comfortably, thanks to the pension. That was the cause of the unappeasable fury of the Tuvaches, who had remained miserably poor. In time, Charlot alone remained to labor with his old father to support the mother and 2 younger sisters. He had reached 21 years when one morning a brilliant carriage stopped before the 2 cottages. A young gentleman with a gold watch chain got out, giving his hand to an aged white-haired lady. The old lady said to him, "It is there, my child, at the second house," and he entered the house of the Valins as though at home. The old mother was washing her aprons. The infirm father slumbered at the chimney corner. Both raised their heads, and the young man said, "Bonjour, papa. Bonjour, maman." They both stood up, frightened. In a flutter, the peasant woman dropped her soap into the water and stammered, "Is it you, my child? Is it you, my child?" He took her in his arms and hugged her, repeating, "Bonjour, maman," while the old man, all a tremble, said, in his calm tone which he never lost, "Here you are, back again, Jean," as if he had just seen him a month ago. When they had got to know one another again, the parents wished to take their boy out in the neighborhood and show him off. They took him to the mayor, to the deputy, to the priest, and to the schoolmaster. Charlot, standing on the threshold of his cottage, watched him pass. In the evening, at supper, he said to the old people, "You must have been stupid to let the Valins boy be taken." The mother answered obstinately, "I wouldn't sell my child." The father remained silent. The son continued, "It is unfortunate to be sacrificed like that." Then Father Tuvache, in an angry tone, said, "Are you going to reproach us for having kept you?" And the young man said brutally, "Yes, I reproach you for having been such fools. Parents like you make the misfortune of their children. You deserve that I should leave you." The old woman wept over her plate. She moaned as she swallowed the spoonfuls of soup, half of which she spilled. "One may kill oneself to bring up children." Then the boy said roughly, "I'd rather not have been born than be what I am. When I saw the other, my heart stood still. I said to myself, 'See what I should have been now.'" He got up. See here, I feel that I would do better not to stay here, because I would throw it up to you from morning till night, and I would make your life miserable. I'll never forgive you for that." The two old people were silent, downcast in tears. He continued, "No, the thought of that would be too much. I'd rather look for a living somewhere else." He opened the door. A sound of voices came in at the door. The Valents were celebrating the return of their child.
Okay, and that's basically the end of the story. And now you see why I ask you, how would you feel if you realize that your parents refuse to put you up in adoption? And it's because we see the reaction of this guy, and he reproached them the fact that they did not give in, and I quote, "a better future," because we associate money with success and success with happiness. Sometimes it's not entirely true, but definitely being rich, being wealthy, it really helps to find happiness. I'm not rich, but I can tell. Um, Now I'm gonna share another presentation with you just to recap all of the events that we have heard and read. Wait a sec. Okay, this is it. The beginning of the story. In the beginning of the story, we heard the story of two families. They were very alike. They have the same number of children. The only difference is that in one family there were more boys than girls. And they are the Tuvach and the Valans. It said that they were very close since also they live next door and they live by the sea in the ocean, so in the French coast, I imagine. One day, in a regular day, a carriage was passing by. Inside of the carriage was this woman, a very wealthy woman. Her name was Henry Duviers, and she really wanted to have a child. Um, the the causes are not so clear in the story that if she was unable to have children herself, but the point is that she wanted to adopt a child and she saw that there were a lot of children in those two cottages. So she approached the Tuvach and they wanted and she wanted to adopt this guy Charlotte, but her mother refused. She turned it down. She said that she was not going to sell her kid. And actually, it was not really buying because the little guy will have contact with the family and they will also receive some monthly payment uh, for his kid. But they refused. And there in the house, there was another little boy playing around with the other kids. It was Jean, but Jean was not part of that family. He belonged to the Balance. And so Henry Duviers, when she came along with the other family's mother, and they did accept the deal. They took the money and in return of his offspring, Jean. So when years passed and Jim came to visit his family, his original family, the other guy Charlotte realized that that opportunity could have been his, and she got really mad. So it's not definitely the attitude that you would show, because many of you responded that, yeah, teacher, I will feel bad, but I don't have anything to reproach my family, since they did it because they love me and they have taken care of me so well during these years. But Jean thought otherwise. He really got jealous of the luck of the other guy because he knew that could have been him. And so at the end, he left the house very mad at his parents because they did not put him up in adoption. And that was Jean's reaction. And there are a lot of controversy here. You might think that he did well. They did not act like the way that they were supposed to for his child on good. But you see, like you said, your family is your family. And I don't know, you feel better with your own people. Or at least this is what we want to think. So there are some exercises in your book that needs your attention. I'm sharing them with you right here, right now. So this is unit number 4. And the exercise can be found on page 88 and 89. Page 88 and 89. So the first exercise that you need to complete is a diagram, basically of the summary of the story. So here you have to write down the settings. The settings is the place, the time where the story occurs, when it takes place. The conflict, what is the situation going on? A brief description of the characters, the two families, Henry Duvier's and her husband, and the resolution, how the story ends. Then you will find some quotes taken right from the story, and you have to match who are the authors, the ones that have said this. Was it Mother Balan, Mother Tuvach, Madame Duviers, Henry Duviers, and or Charlotte? Write the names in here. Then there are other questions that you need to answer, but first focus on the diagram, please. Let's have, let me see, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes, please, to complete this. About the adopted son by Guy de Maupassant, and I suggest you to read it as many times as possible to understand every single detail. I think it's kind of clear, the message is clear, but just in case, it never hurts to read 2 or 3 times a text. Thank you very much, my friends, and I will see you next week. Goodbye. Have a nice day.